Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with the Allied military police and soldiers discovering the bloodied remains of over 70 American servicemen from the Melmoti atrocity. The Germans attacked and killed the majority of the defenseless detainees. General Eisenhower declared that after the war, all German officers involved in the atrocity would face war crimes trials and harsh punishment. 3 weeks earlier, a German army struck and crushed Allied troops in the Ardennes forest. Around 100 American soldiers were captured by the Germans. An injured man screams in agony. And when medic Stephen Gould tries to assist him, he is assaulted by a vicious Waffen's army. Another American soldier, Private Shirley Kendrick, has his cigarettes confiscated. The Germans gather them into a field and search their pockets for Bibles, cigarettes, money and other valuables. Corporal Nathan Deacon Greer has his Bible taken away from him. Fortunately, he recovers it, bargaining with a German soldier in his native tongue. His close friend, Staff Sergeant Gordon Gunderson, approaches and compliments his negotiating abilities. Some troops believe they will be shot, and one attempts to flee, but is shot and killed. In the ensuing commotion, the Americans seize and kill a German soldier, inciting every German soldier to open fire. The German who had attacked Gould slays the injured man he was tending to. As Gould attempted to flee, the survivors who hadn't already been shot and murdered flee into the forest, followed by the Germans. Gould flees behind a log, but the same German tracks him down and forces him to stand. Deacon jumps out of nowhere, grabs the enemy's rifle, and knocks him down. Gould encourages him to shoot, but Deacon lets him go, since he refuses to shoot an unarmed man. Gould becomes enraged, and yells at Deacon for not killing the enemy, but they are cut off by Gunderson, who gestures them over to take cover. Back on the field, Germans move between the fallen men, shooting any survivors. They refill their trucks, and leave once the deadly mission is completed. Kendrick rises from beneath the body of a fallen American soldier, and runs into the forest, where he meets Gould, Gunderson, and Deacon. While they decide what to do next, Gould treats Kendrick's bullet wound. Gunderson, who assumes charge of the group, proposes they seek cover, because they are behind enemy lines, and only have one stolen German firearm, with only 4 rounds remaining. They return to the Allied lines, and wait for the Allies to enter the fight, so they begin to walk with one rifle. They return to the field, led by Deacon, and discover no survivors or weapons, but they do discover a damaged ambulance. Gunderson sends Deacon out to locate shelter, after they scavenge what they can from the bodies. He appears to be troubled by the plundering of the dead. To help him deal with a cold, Gunderson lends him a big coat from one of the corpses. As Deacon goes through the forest, now wearing a heavy coat, he comes upon a doll lying on the ground, and is plainly frightened by it, but when he glances back, it has vanished. Gould tells Gunderson that he believes Deacon is shell-shocked while he is away. Kendrick expresses concern about Deacon, and whether or not he is qualified to carry the weapon, but Gunderson supports Deacon, stating he has saved him several times, reminding him that Deacon obtained the rifle from the German earlier. Then Deacon reappears, and leads the group to a small shed, that appears to have been bombed an hour later. While Deacon keeps the first watch, Gould discovers a small chamber beneath the shed. Gould, who appears skeptical of everyone, questions Gunderson about his friendship with Deacon. Gunderson responds that Deacon is a good guy with no vices, which is why they nicknamed him Deacon, and he is also an excellent shooter. Gunderson reveals his birthplace, Chicago. Gould was born in Brooklyn. Kendrick is a native of Louisiana. Gunderson also informs he is from Arizona. Deacon, in the meantime, detects a commotion and glances up. He notices someone standing in the field. The individual is gone when Deacon pulls out his rifle. He begins to pray, convinced his mind is playing tricks on him. He reads his Bible, and examines a photograph of his wife that he has hidden within it. Deacon hears another noise and looks up, thinking it's a trick of his mind, but instead sees a German Jeep approaching him. He dashes inside, and hides with the others in the compartment, while Kendrick demonstrates a fantastic card trick to Gould. The American soldiers are hoping for the Jeep to pass, but it does not. The Germans arrive outside, and upon determining that no one is present, set up shop inside, unbeknownst to them. The American soldiers are in the compartment on the floor. Germans eat, laugh, communicate, and listen to German radio traffic. They pack up and leave as they hear a jet crash nearby. Deacon, who understands German, interprets it as something concerning the Meuse River and a plane disaster. As they approach the collision, they come across a man caught in a tree. Gunderson directs Kendrick, the biggest among them, to bring him down. As soon as the pilot is free, he pulls out his sidearm, and threatens Kendrick. He makes the Americans answer a series of questions, some of which they get wrong, believing them to be Germans in disguise. Winley eventually comes around and releases Kendrick, who has decided that he does not like this individual. The pilot inquires as to the location of their command post, and identifies himself as Flight Sergeant Oberon Winley of the Royal Air Force. Winley explains his intelligence is critical to the Allies, and that he needs to go to Allied headquarters as quickly as possible. They return to the shed, where Winley explains what kind of intelligence he has, that could greatly benefit the Allies in the ongoing Battle of the Bulge, and possibly save many lives. The others are hesitant at first, but eventually agree to transport him 20 miles beyond enemy lines, to Army intelligence. While walking through deep snow, Deacon has the impression that something is watching him, but it has vanished. Gould observes Deacon's jumpiness, when he turns to look at it, and inquires about his knowledge of the German language. He explains he learned the language while serving as a missionary in Berlin. Winley and Kendrick's obvious antipathy produces friction from their initial rocky greeting. Soon after, they come across an abandoned house, which Kendrick ensures is clear. Fortunately, the only occupants are birds. Gunderson is assigned to the first watch, but Deacon volunteers. Gunderson tells him to go to bed, because he hasn't slept in days. Deacon quickly falls asleep while reading his Bible, but awakes from a nightmare. Gould notices this, but does not inquire. Meanwhile, Gunderson falls asleep while on guard, but awakens when he hears footsteps nearby, and notices German soldiers coming past their shelter. Thankfully, they are overlooked, and Deacon looks at them as well. They make hot drinks while they watch, and Deacon tells them he recently received a letter, informing that his wife is pregnant and about to give birth. They resume their journey, with Deacon taking the lead. They come to a halt, as Gunderson attempts to locate their location on the map. Winley inquires whether they had any tips for fostering camaraderie. Deacon and Kendrick both have them, but Winley makes fun of Kendrick's. When Kendrick requests Winley's secret in exchange, he refuses, and they all continue their trek. Deacon's madness quickly worsens, as his images become more vivid. He notices a mother and a child pleading them not to kill. As German soldiers approach, Gunderson and Gould seize him, and cover his mouth. Gunderson tells Gould that Deacon killed 2 ladies and 6 children by accident during a recent skirmish, while attempting to eliminate a sniper. Gunderson decides to give Kendrick the rifle, while he surveys the area, and the others keep an eye on Deacon. As each of them narrates the narrative of holding a dying soldier, Deacon's intense religious thoughts contrast with those of the atheist Gould. When Gould asks him why he likes the Germans, he responds they are the same as them, just dressed differently. Deacon responds angrily, and he moves up in front of him. Later on, the snow falls harder, making their journey more difficult. Kendrick is thrown through a shed. Winley proposes they leave him, because assisting an injured Kendrick will cut into their time. Gunderson is adamant that no one be left behind. The men come across a modest cottage. They take refuge in the shed, as Gunderson inspects the house. Deacon insists on accompanying him, but Gunderson instructs him to remain and keep an eye out for the others. He finds a French woman and her child living in the house. The woman initially points a knife at him, but quickly drops it, noticing the child watching them. They are terrified, but Madame Catherine Thierry and her daughter Sophie embrace them, and give them shelter and food. At the woman's house, the group is slowed by a huge winter storm. Winley attempts to fly alone, assuming he will arrive at his destination the next day. He offers the last of his cigarettes to Gunderson for Kendrick, who has been requesting one since they met. Soon after, a German patrol arrives at the residence. They try to exploit the theory, but Deacon stops them. The soldiers attack the Germans, but Deacon twice misses an escaping German at point-blank range. Winley apprehends the German and returns him to the group. Deacon identifies the German prisoner as Rudolf Gertz, who he once met in his missionary work, while they debate whether to execute him. He argues that missing the fleeing German was due to divine intervention, because he never misses a shot. Deacon lets Gertz escape, in exchange for intelligence about army movements. The soldiers leave the next day, snatching weapons from the German vehicle, but it is out of fuel, so they walk. They come across a group of German soldiers, and decide to sneak by, rather than battle. A German patrol, however, shoots and kills Gunderson. Gould asks Deacon to accompany him, because they can't help Gunderson, who is now bleeding out. A full-fledged battle quickly develops, and Winley is injured. Kendrick assists Winley as they travel through the woods. Kendrick is told by Gould to leave Winley alone, but he persists in carrying him. They find a safe place to hide, while Gould heals Winley's bullet wound. Their position is quickly jeopardized. There is a shootout, and Kendrick is shot while taking Winley to safety. They finally reach an agreement with Winley, giving him a smoke, seconds before Kendrick dies. Winley attempts to flee but falls into a river and is rescued by the Golden Deacon. As the 3 survivors attempt to revive Winley, A German soldier approaches them. It turns out to be Rudolf Gertz, the German soldier Deacon helped flee the night before. He lets them flee, grabbing an abandoned jeep, and driving for the Allied lines. They work their way past the German lines, disguised as German medics with a wounded soldier, even assisting them with their jeep stuck in the mud. Germans, on the other hand, hear Gould conversing in English, and shoot at the jeep. Deacon keeps driving away, pushing through the adversaries. The Americans, mistaking them for Germans, start shooting at them, as the Germans fire back. Deacon tries to repel the Germans, while Winley flees with Gould, but is killed in the fighting. His last vision is of the family he unintentionally killed. Winley and Gould reach Allied headquarters, and the important information they provide aids in stopping the German onslaught, resulting in an Allied victory in the Battle of the Bulge. Gould discovers Deacon's body, and takes his Bible, thanking him for saving his life, and pointing to Gertz, who is about to be imprisoned. Gould is seen treating a German soldier, who he recognizes as the Harschwaffen soldier from the massacre, after Deacon's kindness. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.